Welcome to our talk studio, David Makali. A pleasure to have you with us. Paul Mwangi, always a pleasure. Gentlemen, very interesting. We've just seen that report by Gashuri, but the issue, I think, very interesting also earlier, the story about the retirement prayers of President Mwai Kibaki, who almost seems to be bowing out and saying, look, my time is coming to an end. What are the thoughts on that and how it affects this succession, just before we go into the specific issues of the coast, David?
Well, I think the thing to say is the president must be congratulated and commended for showing the sort of leadership that this country has lacked. He has made clear that he wants to exit the stage, and that's to say that, look, compete fairly. I'm not in this game anymore. We hope that doing so, he is going to be as open as he is in public, that there's no strings he's pulling behind the scenes. So he leaves this game to be played out among those interested in succeeding him. But you know, maybe there are indications that there are some things that he wants to do in the next phase that will become apparent in the days to come. Okay, interesting. Paul?
I think, one, it's a good thing that he has come up this early to say he's retiring, because we now deal with the situation, with the reality that the presidency comes and it goes. About this time during the Moi presidency, there was still a lot of tension on whether he's going to agree to leave. And even now, the people talk, is President Kibaki going to leave? Is he going to try and get another term? So in terms of him making it clear that he is going, it was a nice thing. But he has also thrown us now totally into 2012.
We're in election, we're in campaign mode.
Yeah, literally he has blown the whistle. And I don't think we might do much between now and the election date. Because now he's saying, I'm not there. And he has handed it over now to the competitors for 2012.
With that now, let's move to the whole coast region and how it is incredibly dynamic. How does that affect this succession battle? Let me begin this time with you, Paul.
First, when we see coast province, especially when you're looking at coast province from a hinterland, we get this idea of a uniform, homogenized political entity. Yet coast province is possibly the most diverse in terms of religions and in terms of ethnicity. And you have very many different groups that live there. They are the indigenous people from Taita Taveta, from the Digos, from the Griamas, to Tana River. And all of them are totally different in terms of their interests. And then they are also divided on religious lines. We have Muslims, we have Christians, and we have traditional believers. And always, every person who goes to coast has to go with a message tailored for each section. So you go to a message and give that message to the people of Kwale. When you go to Tana River, you have to tailor yet another different total message from them. So you can't approach coast province from the basis of one political entity. And in that sense, coast province might actually be a phantom when it comes to politics as a united entity.
That's very interesting. There's been a lot of fire, so to speak, coming out of coast secessionist thoughts, and a movement is one of those things. What are your thoughts on the dynamics of it?
Well, the thing is, I think the Mombasa Republican Council, whatever it's called, that has been, trying to talk about secession, is an expression of the resentment and disgruntlement of the people at the coast who feel they've been marginalized over the years in terms of their resources, employment, and all these opportunities which this country's citizens need to share. But on the other hand, again, they are a minority, representing a minority, because the coast politics must be looked at from two perspectives. There's the urban politics, which is about Mombasa, which is the center of politics in the coast. And then there are the outlying areas now, the communities that Paul is talking about. And those going in to hunt for the votes must divide their strategies into those two. There's the cosmopolitan urban areas, and then there are the, hinterland and, native, so to speak, voters. Looking at how all these political formations are coming, looking at the PNU Alliance, looking at ODM and the G7, we might split those. Who takes that coast region will depend on actually how they address three things. One is the land question, which has been perennial. Every election we deal with the land question. The other will be between the urban, which is highly Muslim, so to speak, Arab, constituency, which normally is seen through the eyes of Balala, and so forth. And then third is the whole area of employment and the youth that Ruto has been trying to address. And that centers around the whole thing of Mombasa Port, how it's managed, because it's actually the lifeline of the coastal people, and now the Lamu port coming up. So how each of these factions or political formations address those issues will determine who takes coast.
Maybe I think the common factor among all the communities in the coast is their marginalization, the economic marginalization, and regardless of where,
in spite of the money that the coast is obviously bringing the country.
Yeah, but that's why when you talk of the coast now, if you talk of the port, you're only talking of Mombasa. The person in Tana River is part of coast,
right, but
has absolutely no relation with the port. So the only common factor between the person in Mombasa district and the person in Tana River is that all of them are economically marginalized, and the coast communities are some of the poorest and most marginalized communities in Kenya. Ever since Ronald Gala, the late Ronald Gala, left the political scene, there has not been any politician who has approached the people of the coast from the basis of their marginalization. And therefore, there has been nobody who has come with a binding message for all of them. And even now, as they speak, the presidential candidates usually go and speak to their different groups. Very few of them come to talk about the marginalization, which is a common political factor of all the communities of the coast.
And I would imagine, aside from a message, you need a strategy, you need a plan to address that marginalization.
And that's where all these politicians, or rather, so to speak, recently, if you look at the campaign trends, all of them seem to be going to identify the appointment in each of these communities. And Zipapa Ali Mwakwere has tried to own this leadership, to fill the vacuum that was left, that actually Maitha attempted to take. And since then, there has been no single Mijikenda leader. And Mijikenda are the main players here. Now, if you look at how each of these people are represented here, Mwakwere is actually, the main person for the G7 alliance. The other people, along the way, who are not so significant. Kalonzo Musyoka with his front is Lucas Maitha, also targeting the Mijikenda. Raila Odinga, on the other hand, does not have any kingpin in these communities, and he's more urban. His approach is more urban, where he has Hassan Joho, Kajembe, and people like those. So depending on who each of these people identifies, they're likely to carry the following with them. Okay,
we've got to wind up. Time is already up, but I must ask you the question. Which way do you see the coast region ship sailing? And it's almost awful to put it as this one block, but Kenya still seems to be easier, discussed in blocks. So just I
know there is a very influential movement that's going at the coast. There is an organization that was formed called the Coast People's Forum, which is trying to bring together different professionals from all those different communities and try to talk about their marginalization. If they are able to get that message through come the next election, then it is likely that the issue of marginalization will be the more important issue among all the people of the coast. And it may not matter how many appointments one has in the different communities. What the people will possibly be wanting to know is who is the presidential candidate who's coming with policies that seriously deal with our marginalization, with sorting out the land problem, the employment problems, and all the other problems common to all of them.
Talking at this point on how they stand, I think you can see that although it's a government solution to the landlessness issue and lack of titles, it's been styled as an ODM solution, by Orengo being there a couple of weeks ago to give titles to these people. On the other hand, the Kalonzo has been there, talking to the Muslim imams, to try and rope in that constituency. Ruto was there looking at the youth and women. I mean, I think looking at it from past voting trends, and last election, ODM took the cost in terms of the vote spread against PNU Alliance. That is still holding. It's ODM to beat, to lose these votes. And I see the ball is still out there. Not yet sorted out.
It would be fantastic if the people look for exactly what you said. But instead of looking at appointment, they say, what do you have for us?
I would agree that at the moment, among all the parties, ODM is the only one that seems to have gone with the marginalization issue. PNU has too many people who are status quo.
Exactly.
And who cannot afford to fight the position that coast is in, because many of them are part of the problem that the coast is in.
Well, interesting. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It always seems too short. Appreciate it. And of course, we're discussing today the Parliamentary Commission and whether it should be disbanded. Maybe we will come to that next week and you can give us your thoughts as we see how the week pans out. But thank you for today. I'm going to head back to our news studio now. So much more coming up on the show. Don't go away.